That's unbelievable.
Yay!
You!
Welcome to Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Cindy Trainer, Sergeant of Arms. Or is it Sergeant at Arms?
Yes.
Yes.
Sergeant at Arms. All right. Here to open this October 15th, 2013 meeting. Now, please join me in warmly welcoming our Toastmaster, our club president, Rhonda Whitaker.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. Wonderful job. Good to have you on board. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, welcome to Tuesday night. You could be here if you really wanted to come out. It's a great evening. We have 3 speeches practiced and ready to present. I'm here to give you our mission. Every Toastmasters Club shares the same mission. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to create a mutually supportive and positive learning environment. Eating in the room? I don't think so.
Not even.
Oh,
Preparing.
Drugs.
medicine,
Drugs.
yes, drugs are fine.
No.
In which each and every individual has the opportunity to learn oral communication skills and leadership skills.
Yay!
Did I leave anything out? Okay. In that case, I think we're ready to start the meeting with our Toastmaster of the evening, who
No.
is...
Yep.
Me first.
No.
Or you first? Okay.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay, Jean, our Toastmaster, Jean Simonton Craig. Thank you.
Okay, before we get started into our regular meeting with all of our role playing, we are going to hear from the organizer, Chief Kuba, of our special event next week. Tom Trainer. He's going to take 5 minutes. We're going to do some organizing, so we're really putting on a great show and have a very successful membership drive next week.
Go! Now, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, you've heard of the fall NPR new member fund drive?
Yes.
They spend hours on the radio. You can't hear a damn thing except join, pay. Well, we do this twice a year also. We have a new member drive. And how we do that is we have a special meeting. And this year, Alex is our main speaker.
Is he going to try to set a new world's record?
Yes, for the shortest possible. Alex's job is to get everybody to come, and he'll do a great job, we know that. But the primary purpose of this meeting is to get new members, because new members are the lifeblood, both economically, spiritually, and intellectually. Every time we get new members, we all grow, we all win. It's a win-win for everyone. We do that by having a panel, and we have a panel leader, who this year will be our resident crazy one, Ed Hibb, who will definitely do his version of off-the-wall panel. We also have the people that are going to be on the panel are John Morris, Rhonda Whitaker, Karen has agreed, and Monty. So we have a nice balance.
Oh, very good.
Nice balance.
Give him a hand, yeah.
Stephanie Chambers is going to be our table topics master. Jean will be the Toastmaster. We have Seth and Alex will do the close, which essentially means get him to sign on the dotted line and write you a check. So, and Jean's going to be in charge of it. We, as everybody said, things that can go wrong will go wrong. I went to the dentist today and I made an assumption that was totally wrong. We do not have our posters and we do not have our table toppers. So we aren't going to do those tonight. I will manage to get them out to people. One of the things we need to do is to have everybody decide what kind of food they're going to bring, because we have one of the major items in our advertising and in all of our literature and media is free food. So, Vera was gonna handle it, she's not here. All I'll say to you is I'm gonna send everybody an email. I think everybody's got email, including Vera, and just volunteer to bring something. Snacky things, cookie things, cheese, but drinks, we need drinks, at least
Yeah,
three.
usually we're short of drinks.
Drinks, we're always short of drinks, so I'll need at least 3 or 4 people. The essence of it is we also are gonna start early. Now our designated advertised time is 7:25. Now I know that's not gonna work, you know that's not gonna work, but you gotta be in the room by 7:15, all of you. And I need at least half a dozen to be here by 7. We're gonna set this room up for 80 to 90 people. Hopefully, we've had as many as 128 people in this room. That's our January meeting, which is always, but we're looking for 80 to 90. Alex is gonna pull them in, you're gonna pull them in. If you haven't done so already, Alex has sent you a Facebook invitation. Send it to all your people, all your friends. That's it. Need you to be here early, help with everything, set up the room, at least half a dozen be here at 7. Cindy, Rhonda, and I'll probably be here at 6:45, because we're gonna make this look a whole lot different. I need one person to volunteer to be timer. Who wants to play timer next week? It's the only role we have, because we have to time everybody. Anybody want to volunteer? Yeah, Will says he will. You had a question, Karen?
Well, I'm on the panel, so I can't.
Yeah, you're going to be on the panel.
I could time.
Yeah.
I could time. I could be.
Will said he timed.
All right.
Good timer. Any questions? Anything I didn't make clear? Yes?
Do you want to take volunteers for who's going to be here at 7 and who's going to do what?
Just give me half a dozen. Can anybody be here? Who can be here at 7? One. Okay, great. That's enough. The rest of you don't, 7:15, absolutely latest, because we want to be set. We want this to look like we're organized, which we are. If you think, you want to see most Toastmaster meetings, right, Gene? It's 7:55, and they're still trying to figure out who's going to be speaking and who's going to fill the roles. I mean, I've seen a lot of other Toastmaster meetings. Very few of them are as well organized as we are, but we want that to come through. Anything else, Gene? Did I forget?
Looks like you covered it.
Okay, so you know it's going to be a great meeting. We got all of our star players, major roles, all the best we have. Bert, you weren't here to ask, but next time we'll put you on a roll. Anyway, Bert's going to go compete this weekend in Moline. Alex is going to compete this weekend in Moline. If you can go and back them up, it's going to be early. We appreciate any backup we can help. I'll be there, Cindy and I will be there. We'll videotape it for both of you. Madam Toastmaster, your meeting.
All right, let's just get right into our meeting. Our timer is going to be Will. Will, could you give us your role?
Thank you, Jean. My role as timer is to keep time for the evaluation, table topics, and prepared speeches for this meeting. That means that for table topics, you will get a green light at 1 minute, amber at 1:30, red at 2. For the speeches, you have 5, 6, and 7 for all but Art, who has 6, 7, and 8. Finally, for the evaluations, you have 2, 2:30, and 3. And I will give a report at the end.
Thank you.
Yo!
Now Cindy Traynor is our out counter. Cindy, would you describe your role, please?
Nothing can be more distracting than a speech filled with ums, ers, awkward pauses. What the role of the out counter is to listen for all these filler words, like, you know, so, but, and, any extraneous gum type noises, tongue clicks, pauses, and false starts. Having noted all of these items that people may say during their talk tonight at any point, I'll make a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Yo!
I'd like to call on our grammarian, Rhonda Whitaker.
Yo!
Okay, tonight I will be listening to language of members during the meeting and noting exceptional uses of language or incorrect uses of language. If it's incorrect, I might suggest a correct way to say it. There will be a brief report at the end of the meeting about what I have heard and observed. The word of the day today is letter perfect. It is an adjective, correct to the last detail. An example would be, bananagram players act as if letter perfect. Tom knows all about bananagrams. I will give my report at the end of the meeting, and I will note who used letter perfect the most times. Thank you. Now, Toastmasters.
Our general evaluator this evening is Alex Sakea. We'll hear from him later.
Yay!
Our reader and joke master, and someone who is letter perfect in terms of his VP of Ed role, also a very funny guy, Dan Craig. And also the ballot and leader counter is Dan Craig. Dan, do you have something you want to say at all about that?
Just quickly, if anybody is filling a role tonight and needs to be evaluated in their leadership manual, why don't you admit it? Tell them, Dan. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Great. All right, well, we've made up some time here. Why don't we go ahead and get started with our table topics? Where is, oh, just before we do that, since we have 2 minutes, I noticed we have a couple of guests that came in, maybe. Would you like to tell us maybe your name and what brought you to Toastmasters tonight?
Okay. My name is Lloyd. I know some of you guys, and I'm here to check out my buddy Jeff.
Okay.
Ooh.
Woohoo. Great. All right. Are you a guest?
New member. No.
New member. And what's your name?
Surya.
Surya. All right. All right. Well, great.
I'm an old member.
Can't keep up with all the conversions. All right. So at this point, I'd like to ask John to come on up and conduct our table topics session.
Golden speakers, honored guests, viewers at home. This is the most exciting part of the meeting where we ask people to come up and speak 2 minutes extemporaneously on a subject they don't know yet what it's about. Could I have a volunteer, a male who has their wallet on them, who would like to give a speech, a 2-minute table topic? Any guy has a wallet? Steve Harper, come on up.
All right, Steve again. I'll hold it.
Okay, in the honor of Columbus discovering and exploring, I would like to do an object self-exploration and look in your wallet and discover an object. And then I would like you to explore how that object came into your possession.
Oh.
Keep it family friendly.
Ah!
Funny money.
Club members, viewers at home, Mr. Toastmaster, and anybody else that I may have forgotten. What I have here is a relic of the past. It is an American Express traveler's check. These were once very popular before credit cards. People used to buy these when they went traveling in case they lost their wallet. They could then go to any American Express office anywhere in the world and get money back for their traveler's check if they just had the number written down somewhere. I still have a few of these traveler's checks in my wallet that I've had for years, just in case. I'm the kind of guy that wears a belt and suspenders too. I travel a lot, and every once in a while I get in a situation that scares me. I run out of money, a plane ticket got set for the wrong day, and I've got to come up with several $100s all of a sudden to get a new plane ticket. I decide I want to take a beautiful woman out on a date, and I don't have enough money to do it.
Horrible.
So it's great to have extra cash. Everybody knows that. And it's great to have it that you can spend in any country, because these are taken pretty much universally anywhere. So that is one of the things that tells you a little bit about me and why I like to be safe and always have a backup plan and be able to do the things that I really want to do in life. And I hope that you also have backup plans and always are able to do the things that you really want to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Girls,
Ladies.
ladies, young ladies, women. Steve has some traveler's checks in his wallet, just in case he runs out of money on a date. Okay? I'd say in this town, he's a captain. Okay? Somebody who has extra money. Now, I would like a female that has a purse, please, or another man who has a purse, or who would like to a table topic who has a purse? Anyone? Diane? You reach for your purse, please.
Okay.
Go!
I'd like you to find in your purse an object that you can discover, and then explore how that object came into your possession. I'll leave it to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Toastmasters guests. One thing only.
Or two.
God, a woman's purse, there's so much fun stuff in here. I do what I do when I'm at school. Let me see, where's this thing? We don't know who's
Just
gonna
dump
be
it all
in.
out.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. My mother says to pick this one. Okay. These are in my purse. I found these at the Goodwill store about a week ago for $2.38. Everything there ends with a 38. $6.38. These are totally, I've had nothing like these. I had 4 pairs of sunglasses in my possession at one time. In the car, I had one in my bedroom, I had one in the back seat of my car, and then 3 days later, I had no sunglasses. I have no idea where they went. Gone. So I bought these. They're just pink, they're kind of weird. I wear them, and when I drive, I'm in two minds. I think, these are really cool and different. I'm not sure if they really fit me. And I'm also, I sort of pull up, if I'm at a red light or something, part of me wants to keep them on, and part of me wants to take them off. So I wear them. I'm not losing these for some reason. like I lost the other 4 brown pair, and that's what's in my purse. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you. Do we have time for another table topic?
Yeah, we do.
One more? Okay. Here's the last chance. Going once, going, Seth! Come on. Woo!
I'm compelled.
Okay, Seth. I want you to reach in your purse and pull out, wallet. Okay? And pull out an object, discover an object, explore, and tell us how that object found its way into your wallet. Thank you.
Fellow Toastmasters, 2 of us prepare to journey as we have seen the journey into the wallet and the purse tonight. From this Spartan club, Alex, Sakea, and Bert Chanowski go out to defend our honor. Do not disappoint us. Win or die, Sakea. If you return a loser, we will throw at you many different versions of 38 cents. You will end up with the rest of the sunglasses. Here are words, Spartan Toastmasters. Remember your ancestors. Remember your grandfathers who died on the battlefield with their ums and their ands and their eye contact. There was no shame in their ums. Let there be none in yours. Many fear to tread these pathways that these Spartan Toastmasters walk. Many fear the camera. Many fear to be seen by public access TV. But not these men. These men crave the attention. Like any good Spartan Toastmaster, they want to be seen and heard and known. So I say to you once again, win. Or impale yourself. In good grammar, somewhere on the return trip. This is all I have to say, Mr. Table Topics Master. Yay!
Thank you. Now we turn it back over to the... No, I'm sorry. Let us vote for best table topic speaker.
Check time.
1 minute, please, on the clock.
No, you have to
First said
qualify.
speaker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They qualify.
Timer. We had 3 speakers.
Yes. And of those 3 speakers, Stephen, Diane, and Seth qualify.
Fantastic.
Almost everybody.
Almost. Okay. I now want to introduce Will Burns, who will be the table topics evaluator. Let's all give him a big hand.
Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests, viewers at home. We had 3 experienced Toastmasters come up here. They were called on to speak off the cuff, and they did that. Starting with Steve. Regarding his Amex traveler's check, I like how you greeted the audience, as I recall. You spoke from your heart, and you were able to take something that could have been fairly abstract, that maybe none of us recalled. I never used it when I was traveling, but again, I only started traveling recently myself, but you made it very human. I liked how you brought in a lot of elements of this anxiety about having enough money, not wanting to be stranded overseas, something. If I had a small recommendation, I would just say, when you want to, move from point to point to emphasize. I want to be able to have enough money so I can take somebody out on a date. To not be shanghaied by pirates because I can't pay the ferry cost from side to side. Something else. But again, your you're an experienced speaker, you were cool, composed up here, and that showed. You didn't seem in any way anxious. Be off the cuff. Diane, I like that you had good hand gestures. My recommendation is just that, and maybe this is more of a stylistic opinion, but you could have taken the time to go through your purse and then produce it with a flourish or something to create that more impact and take the time to, because I feel like you did a really good job with your speech as well, and if you'd had more time to kind of think about what you're going to talk about and tie it up a little bit more. But I like how at the end you put on your glasses to kind of show us that you actually do pull off quite well. Seth? You did everything that I was able to see. I'm sure a more experienced Toastmaster could probably pick out a few things. You had good use of stage. I like how you actually engaged with the camera. That's rarely done. Good thing to do. And I don't have anything specific, but I would love to see the video. And so, thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, we're ready to move on to prepared speeches. We have a slight timing change on the first one. We're going to add a minute.
Yep.
Instead of 5 to 7, 6 to 8.
Got it covered.
I'm starting now.
So without further ado, Diane will be the evaluator for Jeff Shipley and will read the objectives for his speech.
Tonight, Jeff is working on the Confident Communicator Manual, project number 6, so he's more than halfway through. It's the vocal variety project, and the objectives are to use voice volume, pitch, rate, and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to your message, to use pauses to enhance your message, and to use vocal variety smoothly and naturally. Tonight, Jeff will speak about traffic deviance and automatic ticketing machines. He will begin. It's going to be really interesting. He will begin by asking some probing, personal questions and invite you all to answer honestly. He will express some passionately held personal opinions, yet will continue to offer his warm and steadfast friendship to anyone who may happen to disagree. I'd like to welcome Jeff Shipley.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored distinguished guests, viewers at home. How many of you all drive a car or operate a motor vehicle? I think just about everybody. Pretty popular in today's modern society to do that. Now, when you're driving said car, how many of you all scrupulously and strictly observe all posted speed limits? Ah! Ooh.
Observe.
A lot less hands. Observe them and abide by them. Obey them. Not everyone can boast to be a letter-perfect driver. It's tough. Myself, this is something that's been weighing on my conscience for quite some time. I must confess to you all, I am a bit of a traffic deviant. In my 8 years of driving, I've managed to rack up a miserably impressive amount of traffic violations. Speeding being the most common. So I'm a traffic deviant. That means I deviate from the expected norms of those who are driving. In fact, one time I was pulled over for speeding twice in one day. I thought it was kind of funny too, but when you pay the $250, it becomes a lot less amusing. Another time I was traveling on a long and lonesome highway east of Omaha, and a state trooper pulled me over for going 72 miles per hour in a 70 zone. It's 2 miles per hour. If you follow the news, the governor's allowed to go a hard 90 in a 55 zone, but poor old Jeff Shipley didn't quite have the same privilege. And this is something I do take very seriously. I'm a man of law and order, given that the laws and the order abide by basic human decency and self-respect. And obviously, if you're traveling on the roads, my personal safety and security is paramount. I'm obviously want to keep the integrity of my vehicle, and I empathize with those who travel around me. I want them to feel safe and secure as well. So it is a very serious issue. A lot of people die in motor accidents. It's actually a pretty astounding cause of death. And so it is something to be taken very seriously, and I do. Unfortunately, there's only one really time in my life where I look back and say, wow, that was pretty reckless. Thank God nobody got hurt. And we learned from that experience. But at least when I'm being pulled over by a state trooper, there's a human aspect to it. The state trooper comes to me, I roll down the window, he'll give me the ticket, and just recently he said, oh, better luck next time as I'm driving down the road. 20 minutes later I got pulled over again, didn't work out that way. But I thought it was interesting, he said, better luck next time, as it implied that I was a stroke of bad luck. Made me think, so if it's my bad luck, does that mean it's his good luck for catching me speed? How exactly does that work? I normally consider myself a lucky guy, but obviously not in that case. But again, there's a human aspect. If I wanted to challenge that traffic ticket, I could go before a judge, and I could force the officer to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that I committed the offense. When I'm pulled over at the time, I can request to see the radar gun, etc., etc. There's a human interaction. But there's other citations I've given that have left a much more bitter taste in my mouth. It wasn't as pleasant. Not that they were pleasant to begin with. It was 2011. I was a young man, not yet 23 years old. I was coming back to Iowa. I was very excited to get back to Iowa. Perhaps too excited, as the case may turn out to be. A couple weeks after I got back to Iowa, settling in my place, I get a phone call from my father. He's pretty agitated. He's upset. He's irritated. He got a notice in the mail directing him to submit $75 to a collection agency in New York on behalf of the city of Muscatine, Iowa. How could this have happened? Man, I'm so sorry, Dad. I was careless. I was reckless. I know you've told me so many times, and it won't happen again. I'm really sorry. It won't happen again. That's what I told him. It won't happen again. See, what happened is I was driving the car. It's registered in both my name and my father's name. His address, my address at home, he gets the notice. So, all right, just send me the notice. I'll take care of it. Please don't worry about this. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. So $75. I just moved to town to Fairfield. You got to pay first month's rent, you need a security deposit, you want to get your electricity turned on, they need $200 to make sure you don't get free electricity from them for their deposit. If you're not careful, money can slip through your fingers pretty easily. So instead of $75 that I could have used to go to the farmer's market, buy a big old sack of tomatoes or something, or donate to charity, or maybe I could use that $75 for something really crazy and stupid like buy a U.S. Treasury bond. Instead, that went to the city of Muscatine, and I never saw that $75 again. About a year ago, I was living in Cedar Rapids. My friend Sean wanted to borrow my vehicle. Give him my car keys. I trust the guy, I like the guy. I didn't think much of it. We're both insured. What could go wrong? A couple weeks later, get a phone call from my father. He's very irritated. Something's stressing him out. Oh, Dad, I know you have more important things to worry about than your youngest son's driving. I'm so sorry. I know you've told me a million times. Just please send me the notice. I'll take care of it. Worry about your work. Worry about Mom. Please don't stress out about me. So I get the notice. Looking at the date, the location, the time. Looking at my friend Sean. Isn't that the date and time I gave you my car? Oh, no, it could have been me, only me. A couple excuses later, I present a very ironclad case that it was him who was using my vehicle at the time of this citation. He admits to it. He's a good guy. He gives me the $75. But the bottom line was he was the one who committed the infraction. He sped. He broke the law. But my father and myself are the ones that had to send a remit payment to a third-party collection agency on behalf of the city of Cedar Rapids. And this is so interesting. So those occurrences were much more annoying, much more infuriating to me than just being able to see the state trooper eye to eye and, damn, I got caught. But Now it's 2 weeks later, didn't even know an offense, and you get these unfortunate notices in the mail. Of course, I feel worse about that it's given to my father. You know, he has to see my dirty laundry right in the mail there, and like I said, he's got more important things to worry about. The money can come and go, but the stress that it takes on him is what really eats me up. So it's interesting, these machines. I noted it goes to a third-party collection agency. Looking into it, there's a lot of big money in these machines. In fact, and again, all these cities have different contracts. The city they'll contract out to install the traffic enforcement cameras, but then the data, the photographic images, the citations, they need to be upkept. So these third-party corporations get a cut of every single traffic transaction. So when I'm paying my fine to the city of Muscatine, yeah, they might get us some money to use on their law enforcement, whatever, but there's a third-party, for-profit corporation, oftentimes foreign, getting a cut. One such of these corporations is called Redflex. It's based out of Australia. They get hundreds of million dollars in profits a year, and they contract with a lot of American municipalities. It was later discovered in 2010 they were bribing Chicago city officials.
No.
Yeah, can you believe that? So they're getting my money, and they're using my money to bribe city officials to aggressively expand their market share, presumably to get more and more traffic citations. It's big money. City of Cedar Rapids, about $5 million a year. Or excuse me, $2.5 million a year. Sioux City, $5 million a year. What's the other one? West Des Moines is 2.5. Yeah, Cedar Rapids is $5 million. Council Bluffs, $800,000 a year. This is big money that they're going through. So at the end of the line, at the end of the day, I much prefer being able to face my accuser right in the eye. With these automatic ticketing machines, you don't have that opportunity, that privilege, and Madam Toastmaster.
Yay!
Now please take 2 minutes to evaluate Jeff. Our second speaker, Karen Aoki, I'd like to invite her evaluator, Seth Braun, to read the objectives for her speech.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Karen will be giving her 5th speech tonight. She'll be giving the project called Your Body Speaks. In this project, her objectives are to use stance, movement, gestures, facial expression, eye contact to express her message, achieve her speech's purpose, try to make her body language smooth and natural. Karen currently divides her time between a PhD program at Maharishi University studying Maharishi Vedic science, where she's studying research in consciousness development, and as co-owner of Earth and Water Tea Lounge on the Square, where you can get fine green teas, black teas. I highly recommend that you check it out. One of my favorite places in town. However, tonight she will not be talking about her PhD program or being a small business owner. She will be speaking about her experience with the Western classical flute, an interest that she pursued and developed from elementary school all the way up through undergraduate education. She'll share her experience of the flute as a way of developing breath and how that subtlety has affected her outlook on life. Please help me warmly welcome Karen Aoki.
actually probably take the whole speech time to play a song for you, but I do need to get to the objectives of the speech. So, the body speaks. That is the project. And I thought what better way to talk about that than to use the flute, because the flute is all about the body speaking. Welcome, golden speakers, our honored guest and my good friend, viewers at home. What do you notice when you're listening to the song, like what I played? What are the things that your attention goes to? Is it the notes? Is it the way I'm interacting with it? It's very different from person to person. But we might all agree that when you're listening to a good piece of music, the mind does entertain subtler levels. There's something there that relaxes you, that takes you to greater levels of silence, and yet it's all about feeling the silence as well. So there's this interesting relationship between the sound and the silence. The flute, because it's like the loudspeaker for the body, it's basically the extension of my breath. It's a very intimate relationship with my breath. Any other instrument might have a mouthpiece, so it's vibrating. It's not quite the same as a pure stream of breath coming through you and through the flute. So this is a very intimate relationship with the breath. Not every flutist necessarily has that perspective. We do a lot of breath work. I would practice 6 to 9 hours a day, and a great portion of that would be breath control. Because as you're listening to the sound, I'm not really paying attention to the music. At the time I perform, I know the music so well I don't have to think about it. I'm totally engaged with the flow of breath. And this is where it becomes interesting, because when you're breathing like that, the breath seems to come through you. I mean, you have to be so full of breath that it's just this life force coming through you. And maybe age 9, I had a profound experience. I was about to take off for the US. I lived in Japan. And I curled up on the couch, and I saw my life flash before me. It was like an out-of-body experience. I saw my soul would be eternal, was an eternal thing. But I saw my body changing over time. And I saw that despite the body changing, the soul would always be there. And that flash gave me this drive to always seek the subtlest element of whatever I was studying. So I launched into flute at that time, and I studied and I worked on technique, but I could never get over the fact that there was something deeper than the music. So my fascination with music was in the stillness that I would experience. So when I'm playing a phrase, you'll notice that the phrase ends, and it's that end point that was interesting to me. Where did that sound go? And from where did the sound come? So finally I get to undergrad, and by that time I'm exhausted with technique. I had, by that point, discovered that the letter perfect musician was just not touching. That, you can listen to a virtuosic violinist, and if you're not moved, here's an interesting thing I found out. The musician's brain waves are what you're syncing up with. So it's not the technique, it's not all the notes flying through that connect with you. It's experience of the performer that you're connecting with. So a performer can play a very simple piece and touch you more if she's actually transcending or experiencing the stillness within. So at undergrad, I kind of steered away from all the technical pieces that would have won competitions. And I focused on these really simple pieces. I tried to find the simplest piece from different cultures. And I loved Japanese flute music, which is actually what I started out playing with for you today. It's actually originally for the bamboo flute, but I just use it on the Western flute. I discovered Debussy, also very simple, that spoke to my heart. And that gave me the time in the practice room to not worry so much about technique, to get to work with my breath and to transcend. And at that time I didn't have a vocabulary for transcending. I just knew like something amazing was going on. So then it got to the point where I just put aside the music and I just played one note. I thought this was really cool. If a simple piece can get me to these really heavenly divine experiences, what if I just developed my breath so much I could just hold a note forever? And at that time, I could hold it for a really long time because I don't have much muscle hair anymore, but at that time I had a lot of muscle hair. And I could just sit and play. And then it's like this point when are you breathing? Am I not breathing? You can't tell. It's just so sublime. And, that kind of led to seeing something else for my life. I saw visions. I thought I was going to go into orchestras, but at that point, the dream changed. And long story short, I ended up here. So just consider when you're listening to a musician, it's as much the body and the consciousness of that person and the music too. Like there's these two parts together, and the two together is an amazing package. I wanted to play this song again, but I don't have time. But anyway, I hope you got an idea of the musician's experience, and many of you are musicians, so you might understand.
Now please take 2 minutes and evaluate Karen's speech with her. And our third and final speaker is Art Atkinson, and here to read the objectives for his speech, an advanced manual speech, is Briggs.
Fellow Toastmasters, special guests, and viewers at home, and welcome Art. Art is a pillar of our downtown merchants, longtime Toastmaster. And what Art is going to be doing tonight, and he asks for everyone's help in terms of evaluation and feedback, he is presenting at this Friday's Rotary Luncheon at the Country Club at noon. And he's going to encourage those members to come to our special event next Tuesday to hear the world champ of speaking, Alex Sakea, and also to join Toastmasters. Please help me welcome Art Atkinson.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. My name is Art Atkinson. I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of Golden Speakers Toastmasters of Fairfield. It's been said that everything rises and falls on leadership. To celebrate an example of excellent leadership, I propose a toast to Paul Harris, founder of Rotary. Through Paul Harris's vision and inspiration, Rotary can now count more than 100 years of service above self. It can point to projects both large and small across the world, benefiting underdeveloped countries and poor people. Rotary can be proud of its global reputation as one of the great service organizations to come out of the United States. Harris's dictum that Rotary will be known by the results it achieves in the world has come true. Please raise a glass with me and drink to the leadership of Paul Harris.
Here, here.
Leadership is key. Everything does rise and fall on leadership. And leadership rises or falls on communication. Leadership expert John Maxwell states that the essence of leadership is holding a vision and communicating it powerfully. My observation is Rotarians are not timid. They tackle the big stuff. Access to clean water everywhere on the globe. Ending the scourge of polio worldwide. Building understanding and friendship among nations. Building communities locally. Rotarians at all levels require the skills to inspire, to motivate, and to galvanize the actions of teams of people who are mostly volunteers. Rotarians require excellent communication, powerful communication skills. The bigger the task, the more powerful the communication required. Toastmasters International is one of the foremost global organizations training people to be more effective speakers and leaders. The mission of Golden Speakers Toastmasters is to create a mutually supportive and positive learning environment where every member can develop the verbal communications and leadership skills that lead to self-confidence and personal growth. Golden Speakers has been the #1 club in the state of Iowa, as measured by rigorous standards set by the international organization. #1 club for most of the last 10 years. It's one of the few clubs in the world that records every meeting on videotape, and one of the even fewer that broadcasts those meetings on television regularly. How many of you have seen a Golden Speakers meeting on FPAC? Great. How many of you saw my award-winning impromptu speech with the purple wig? If you must know, you can ask me afterwards. The Toastmasters educational program is designed on 2 tracks, a communication track and a leadership track. The communication and leadership tracks are each graduated sequences of more complex projects designed to develop specific skills to handle increasing complexity. In Golden Speakers, we encourage people to start on both tracks, although most people enter just interested in the communication track. 2 brilliant strategies underlie Toastmaster clubs. The first one is every speaker, every member is at complete liberty to talk about what they want to talk about as long as their selection of topic fits the projects. And second, there's no specific teacher. We all teach ourselves. Senior members mentor younger members. The Toastmasters communication track rests on 3 pillars: speaking, listening, and evaluating. Toastmasters training is as much about developing listening skills as it is about developing speaking skills. And the true gem of the communications track is evaluation. Toastmasters evaluation is not criticism. This was a real brain transplant for the speaker here, who was brought up to be the critic. Evaluation is a specific feedback style that combines praise for what the speaker did well, coupled with specific suggestions about what could be done differently to make the speech more powerful. Good evaluations motivate speakers to speak again. Bert Chanowski will be competing as an evaluator. Toastmasters actually compete to evaluate. They'll be representing the local Advanced Club Speakers Trust in an area-wide contest on the 1st of October. Because we evaluate speech delivery technique, not content, a Toastmasters Club is not a debating society. We may disagree, but we agree to evaluate the delivery of ideas, not the specific ideas on which we might disagree. In fact, recently we heard news of an award-winning evaluator who's a very conservative man, whose evaluation of a speech in praise of President Obama began with an opening statement. I want you to understand that I disagree with every idea that was put forth in this speech. However, it was a very effective presentation. It was well delivered. Here is what the speaker did well that made it a good speech. Let me illustrate my own growth as a speaker. Before I came to the club, I would have delivered news of Rotary's achievements in the field of eradicating polio this way. Ladies and gentlemen, we have good news. Polio is almost gone. Last year, only 3 cases were reported. Having been coached by members of Golden Speakers, I've learned a few new different techniques for delivering the same message. Let me illustrate. Ladies and gentlemen, we have excellent news. Through cooperation with organizations throughout the globe, Rotary's decades-long effort to wipe out polio is within our grasp. We've reached almost total success. We know how polio is transmitted. We know how to treat it. The tidal wave of cases that just engulfed the world in the 1950s has slowed down to this little trickle. Just 3 countries reported a case last year. Soon even these will be gone. Victory is within our grasp. Golden Speakers meets every Tuesday at 7:40 in the lower level of the First United Methodist Church at B and Briggs Streets. And we invite you to come any Tuesday evening as a guest. But especially, we invite you to come next Tuesday. This is Friday. Tuesday, 5 days from now. Alex Sakea, award-winning speaker, will be the featured speaker at our special event, which is designed to introduce you to the benefits Toastmasters can bring. He just won the Area 92 Humorous Speech Contest, and he'll give a special talk entitled Harness Your Story. So what does Bert Toast have to do with all this? Ha! You might be asking. Remember how we clinked glasses when we toasted Paul Harris? Why the clink? Why toast? Think back to ancient Rome. If you were a prominent Roman, you got invited to feasts, and it was a wise idea to accept those invitations. If your host was a rival, you might reasonably have worried about being poisoned. Poisoning an enemy was the method of choice. So the tradition developed that you would pour a bit of your own drink back into the goblet of your host, just insurance. As a good measure, you would drop a bit of very charred toast into what remained in your goblet to absorb any remaining poison that might be there, since charred toast was the closest thing the ancients knew of to activated charcoal. If you and your host, on the other hand, were close, trusted friends, you clinked the glass, signifying absolute trust. Now, I understand this is a highly controversial explanation, very highly disputed explanation of the tradition, but it's the one that entertains me, so that's what you got.
Please take 2 minutes to evaluate our speech. At this time, I'd like to welcome our general evaluator, who will be conducting the rest of the meeting, Mr. Alex Sakea.
Thank you, Jane. This is the evaluation portion of the meeting. So we're going to hear from the evaluators for each one of the speech. So first up, I'd like to call up Diane Denbaum to evaluate Jeff. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jeff. Jeff, to me, has a natural charisma. I loved his title. The fact that he came out front. He used the technique of asking a question to bring us in. It was off to a great start, in my opinion. I'm going to go back and forth between what I liked and then suggestions, because right here, what I would have liked to have seen, because there was a lot in the speech and I loved it and it was a great topic, but I personally got lost at times. So I would love to see you just use that technique, tell us what you're going to tell us. Maybe break it down, these speeding tickets, these automatic things. I'm going to speak about those tonight and my annoyance with them. Let me have somewhere to start with you as you speak. This was all about vocal variety So your topic selection was fabulous for this. You had good volume. Your rate for me was just a little fast. The pitch, there was a ton of passion in it, in your speech, is what I felt. And the quality, which they say is friendly and pleasant, worked for me as well. Pauses, I would have liked to have seen more, especially after, you know, those Australians, they take your money. You know, and that's where I would have liked to have seen you express your frustration even further. They take your money! You know? And then when you talked about death on the roads from speeding, you know, maybe that officer cared because there's death on the roads. And then the pause. The organization was good. It would have been better, I think, with that tell us what you're going to tell us and then tell us. What else do I want to tell you? You know, and then there were parts, your hands, your gestures were about your hands a lot. And there was a part, you know, you're talking to your dad, and your eyes closed. I'd also like to see you use silence and whispering as well. The anger, whispering. What I liked was your use of humor. You had a couple of really clever spots. I loved your topic. I think you're very passionate when you speak. You have this, you're sort of like this, and I like that. You know, just like, and you bring me in. The letter perfect information you gave us with these facts and statistics about these machines and where our money's going and things like this. And you have a very lively and excited voice. You know, something with your hands, bam, you said, no, you should have gone like, bam! There was something in there. Thank you, Jeff, it was a great topic. I'd do it again. I'd love to hear that again with some few suggestions there. Thank you. It's great that you came.
Thank you very much, Diane. Okay, next up we're going to have Seth Braun evaluate Karen Aoki's speech.
Yo! Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, guest, Karen. Fascinating topic. Fascinating person, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anyone else here who's interested in the topic of mastery? Mastery of technique, mastery of life, just this whole... Yeah, so I was engaged, I was drawn in by the stories of someone who has experienced mastery in a particular domain. And I'm going to go through the manual and check off as we go. Topic selection. I said it facilitated body language. That's the highest you could get. Engaged. I was satisfied by the topic, it piqued my interest. Preparation, I said satisfactory between excellent and could improve because I think you could have practiced the beginning and the ending and strengthened those up. Your manner, I said you were confident and enthusiastic when you were playing the flute and satisfactory when you were speaking. Posture, I said you were satisfactory. Legs and placement and grounded quality. So what I noticed for you, Karen, is that this upper portion of your body is more dynamic than here. I think there is a lack of presence here. There's a lot of this and kind of like, just not really, and then a little bit of, look, when we're speaking, this happens to just about everybody in the club at some point. There's a little bit of like, not really being grounded. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
So when you come out and speak, when you come out and speak, every once in a while you gotta like sink in and like show up and say, I am in this space. It's about to get real. You know, you want to have that presence. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I thought that was lacking from the tips of your toes up through like the hip joint. Gestures. When you're playing the flute, it was natural and evocative. It was a... Am I right?
Yeah.
It was just pow. So, you know, you've put in, you know, thousands and thousands of hours in playing the flute, so you just need to put in thousands and thousands of hours of speaking. No problem. But there are particular phrases you can practice and learn with your body language. If you can think of a few different moments that become your signature. You know, some speakers, they get down on their knee and when they want to make a point. I have something to tell you. You need to get down on your knee when you want to make a point. So you have signature movements that you can get, just like there are certain things you can practice as a musician, phrases. Body movement, it's very similar to gestures. What's the difference between a gesture and a body movement? Well, I'm not sure. When you're playing the flute, purposeful and smooth, same thing. Eye contact was satisfactory. I think that because you're still discovering this story and the telling of it, it's still fresh and new. Once you tell it some more, the eye contact will improve. There's so much more to say. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to get right to the point. Overall, I was compelled, I was inspired, and the main thing is set this up before you get introduced.
That I did request. Ahead of time.
Sergeant of Arms fell out down on that one.
Very nice job. Now we will take no. Now we will do something else.
Bird.
Oh, bird. Sorry. Oh, birds.
Easily overlooked, I know.
Art.
So easily overlooked.
Whoops. We can edit that. No editing allowed. Okay, Bert will come up to evaluate art. Welcome,
Go!
Thank you, Alex. Hey, everybody's still here. Hi, Toastmasters guests and viewers at home, and especially Art. Art, you can tell, is a seasoned Toastmaster. He spent a lot of time thinking about what he was going to say and prepare. The other thing that Art has is a really unique quality, and I'm envious of. He's got one of the best speaking voices in the whole club. He's got a certain resonance that is really great. The other thing that Art has is he has a surprise attack. You know what his surprise attack is?
Humor.
Humor. When he is funny, because he's not funny a lot, but when he is funny, it's really great. You know what I'm saying? You're laughing, so I think it's really true. I liked the presentation, but I didn't think it was letter perfect. And I think there's a couple of areas that could be improved. One is, my favorite part of the speech was, he was referencing to something about a purple wig and whatever. I think I missed that night. But my recommendation is, you should start your talk with the purple wig on. You should next talk about your personal experience in Toastmasters of how I was when I started. I wouldn't have the confidence to come out and speak with a purple wig on, and you might use that as a character. You could keep it on for the whole thing or throw it away. It doesn't matter. But it certainly gets their attention, right? You were very, how can I say, complimentary, but I found it a little bit patronizing talking about Rotary, because these guys are Rotary. They know their story. What you want to do is talk more about Toastmasters. Talk about your own experience and use real-life examples of why Toastmasters is the #1 club in Iowa. Ed Hipp was 2-time state champion humorous speeching competition. Alex Zakea has set a world record. He's speaking tonight, thinking it's Friday night, at the Pokemon conference. Pechakucha, as is Bert Janowski. And they're competing again tomorrow, like the area contest. Fairfield has become the presentation capital of Iowa. And you want to be a part of this. Why? Because you can clear out some of your ums and ahs. You can learn how to be a more effective communicator. You can really inspire your troops and be a great leader. And those are some of the things you want to work on the sizzle, not the steak. Thank you very much.
Now we will take 1 minute to vote, but first we have to see who qualified.
Of the evaluators, Diane and Bert qualified.
Oh.
And you. And me.
And me. Will. Bert and Will.
All right, Will.
Okay, excellent. So we will keep this meeting moving right along, and we're going to hear from some of our role players. First, we will hear from our timer, Will Burns, who's going to give a report.
Yeah, Will. Steve, 217. Diane, this is for table topics. Diane, for your table topics, 151. Seth, 155. Speeches, Jeff, you were at 8:25. Karen, 7:30. Art, where's Art? 9:55.
Way to go, Karen.
Will, myself, 2:37. Following that up, Diane, 3:16, Seth, 3:40, and Bert, 3:13. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Absolutely letter perfect. Next up, we'll hear from our counter, Cindy Trainer. Let's give her a big ah.
Ooh.
Ah.
Ooh.
Oh gosh. People had fun tonight with lip smacks. The lip smacks outvoted everything. People who participated the most in those was John. Seth had 2 real good ones. Bert had 1. Well, let's go down the list for everybody. Jean, you had 3 ahs right off the bat. And 1 so. Rhonda, clean. John, you had 1 ah and those 4 lip smacks I mentioned. Steve had 2 so's and 2 tongue clicks or lip smacks, I couldn't tell which. Diane had an ah, an 1 each, and 1 but. But I really I want to compliment you on the pauses you used, because you used them in demonstrating when you were giving your evaluation, and I wanted to just toss it out there. You had 2 really good uses of pause. Seth, 2 lip smacks. Will, you had 1 ah, 1 Jeff, you had 2 ahs, 2 ums, 2 so's, 2 buts, and 1 lip smack. Karen, you had 2 ums, 2 so's, and 1 and. And Bert, you had 1 and 1 lip smack. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Cindy. Now, next we will hear from our grammarian, who will give a very letter-perfect report. Very letter-perfect. So letter-perfect.
Okay, the winner for letter perfect is, once again, our worldwide winner, Alex. Otherwise, it would have been a 4-way tie. He really came in, what did they say, the dark horse finished last?
Hey.
Take that however you want it. There was a great deal of beautiful language tonight. Steve Harper used relic of the past, taken universally. Diane, eeny, meeny, and probing. Seth, thespian Toastmasters. No shame in ums. Win or impale yourself. Will, talked about making it personal so you wouldn't get shanghaied. A flourish. Jeff, he was a bit diabolical in his statements about himself, saying, I am a traffic deviant, and then he would say, I'm a man of law and order. So it was like, okay. He mentioned bittersweet in his mouth and something eats him up at the same time. But I really like the imagery that Jeff brought out in his speech. And you have to watch Jeff, you know, he's always moving in different directions, rapidly. Seth made a statement, it's about to get real. I couldn't believe that came out of Seth's mouth, but it was great. Karen playing the flute, it was as if her flute had antenna and eyes. It was like her statement, something amazing is going on, was so true. Art, Art, I really enjoyed your speech. I think you did a great job with your grammar, especially the part about charred toast.
Ha!
And Bert, your comment of the evening is the Pokemon contest, followed up by Seth with Pechakichu. Very entertaining. Thank you very much. That's my report.
Next, we will hear from our greeter, Joke Master, for one quick joke.
There was a group of lawyers that had to measure a flagpole for a case. So they got their ladders, they got their measuring tapes, they gathered out there, they were trying to measure the thing. It was a disaster. The ladders were falling down, they were dropping the tapes. They just couldn't do it. So along walks an engineer, and he decides that it'll help him. So he looks at the flagpole for a minute, he picks it up, takes it out of the ground, lies it on the ground, gets a measuring tape, measures it, gives him the result, walks on. One lawyer turns to the other and says, is that like an engineer? We're trying to get the height, and he gives us the length.
Very nice. Thank you, Dan. Now it is my turn, and I will evaluate the evaluators, and we're running a little bit behind, so I'm going to keep it as brief as I can. I have them all in here, so I'll read off from here. Will, Table Topics Evaluator. What I liked about what you did is you acknowledged the obvious. It's always a nice thing to do that in a room because you immediately get agreement from the room. And one of the things you said was we had a group of experienced speakers tonight. It's something that the audience could not do.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to do. Recommendations, I was too busy writing down what everyone did well, and I forgot to get recommendations, so that's my bad. Diane, you did a lot of demonstrations. You went back and forth with suggestions and praise. You based your feedback on what didn't work for you and also on the manual, which is a good combination. Seth, you greeted the audience, which I always forget to do. It's a good reminder. Every time you do that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. And you used the manual to evaluate the speech, and you were all over the place. You were running all around. That was nice. Okay. And very funny, lots of energy. Bert, you also greeted the audience. You also you do this, I've seen you do this several times, you always put your introductions and when you talk about something into context. Art is a very seasoned Toastmaster. You always put the person into context. I really appreciate that. And I liked when you said you got to work on the sizzle, not the steak. And that's my evaluation of the evaluators. Yes. Now I will hand the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, who will present the meeting awards. Please sign the graph.
right, drum roll please for that table topics. Seth.
Yay!
Drum roll please. Best evaluator, sending him off to the championships first.
I'm so glad now I don't have to impale myself. Thank you.
Yo!
Oh, best speaker. And with that, I'd like to just turn it over to our president for closing remarks.
We got some number speeches to give up.
Oh, sorry, numbers. Number 5, Karen, sorry. There you go, and vocal variety, there you go. Now, Madam President.
Yes. Madam.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you.
Okay, we want to end on time. Are there any last-minute comments or announcements that need to come out?
Yeah, one guess.
Oh, yes, we have a guest. Is it Floyd?
Lloyd.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Lloyd, would you like to comment on something you appreciated about the meeting tonight?
Sure. I really appreciated in Karen's speech that I walked away with something personally that I can use, I'm a musician as well, that I can use in my performances. And that was that the brain functioning of the musician reflects in the brain functioning of the audience. So the performer's consciousness pulls the audience in to match their consciousness. That's what I can put it.
Well said.
That's it.
So we will adjourn until next week at our contest, excuse me, for our special event, our membership drive. I look forward to seeing you all there at 7 o'clock or 7:20, as Tom said. And bring your food, goodies.
Big good.
Thank you. Please stay and clean up the room.
7:15.
7:15.
Yo!
Right.